Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
You're a child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
Well, I thought I would put together a stream of conscience video, which is what I call it when I just talk and talk and talk. Kind of aimlessly talk. Hopefully not too aimlessly. I have a lot of things I feel right now that I want to express, and there's no script here. I don't really know where this is going to end up or how the video is going to end. If it's going to have a great message, or any words of wisdom in it. I just feel like getting some things off my chest. The other day I put up a video. I mirrored Gert Wilder's warning to America. My video is called Wake Up America. And I put the link to this on my Facebook page. And I had an atheist friend of mine write me and tell me that I am, what am I saying? Basically, she can't believe that I'm supporting this xenophobic person. And my feeling is, I looked up the term xenophobic. It seems the definition is to be afraid of somebody from, or people in general from other countries, which I'm not. I'm not xenophobic. I've also watched Gert Wilder's videos from start to finish, and I don't believe that he is xenophobic either. She also called him bigoted. I looked up the term bigoted. I was actually surprised when I looked up the term bigoted because it wasn't what I always assumed it meant. Basically, what it said in the online dictionary I looked at, and I only looked at one. Maybe there are other definitions that are closer to what I imagined the word bigoted to mean, but the one that I looked up said that it is to be intolerant of people with another opinion. I don't know if that's a correct definition of the word bigoted, but if it is, then maybe I am a bigot. Because I am intolerant of people with another opinion. When that opinion is that it's okay to own slaves, I would have total intolerance for any person who had that opinion that it's okay to own slaves. I would be completely intolerant of anybody who has the opinion that it's okay for a 40 or 50-year-old man to marry a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girl. I would have intolerance for somebody who has the opinion that that's okay. I would have intolerance for somebody who has the opinion that it's okay to kill your daughter if she dresses inappropriately or doesn't do what you want her to do. I would be intolerant of somebody who has the opinion that it's okay to beat your wife if she doesn't say yes every time you want sex. I would be intolerant of that. I would be intolerant of anybody who thinks that, yes, women are inferior to men and are deficient in their intellect or their religion, which is what Muhammad taught. So maybe I am a bigot. People say that word with such hate, like it's right on par with racism. I am not a racist, and I think racism is evil. I think prejudice is evil. I assumed bigotry was just as evil as these other things But now that I've read this particular definition of the word bigot, I guess I'm a bigot because I am intolerant of people who think it's okay to rape women, or people who think it's okay to throw acid in the face of women, or stone women to death, or kill apostates, or hack atheists to death with a machete. I'm against people who think it's okay to put a person in a cage and set them on fire. So gosh, I guess I'm a bigot. And I'm starting to look at that word in a different way. Multiculturalism. That's the new wonderful word, isn't it? Everybody wants to be, multicultural. We want to embrace all the cultures of the world. You know, I don't see, and here I go being bigoted because whatever. The immigrants that are going into Europe, are they embracing Europe's culture? Are they respecting Europe's? I'm referring to the various different nations, countries in the UK, in Europe. Do these immigrants going into these countries, do they demonstrate respect for the existing laws that lie therein? Are they showing respect for the cultures, the long established cultures that are already there? Isn't multiculturalism supposed to be a two-way street? I'll respect yours if you respect mine. Funny thing, I don't see that happening in these countries where these immigrants are settling. I see people giving Muslim immigrants preferential treatment. We don't want to be politically incorrect. We don't want to offend. You know, that there offends our Muslim brothers and sisters, so we're going to get rid of it, even though it's part of our culture that's existed for all this time. Oh, our Muslim brothers and sisters want to have their own set of laws. Well, you know, we're going to embrace multiculturalism and let them have their laws side by side with our laws and live happily ever after in this multiculturalist universe. Except, how exactly does that work? I haven't really studied in depth what's happened in some of these countries, but I've read some things that make me think it's not working very well. The expectation is that this other set of laws, namely Sharia, or however it's pronounced, they expect non-Muslims to adhere to it as well. Oh, we don't want to have pork on our children's menu at this public school because it offends some of the Muslim children. That's just a small example. My feeling is multiculturalism is a thing that is going to go away. It's going to cease to exist the very moment Islam becomes the majority in whatever country it's in. The moment Islam, or people who believe in Islam, become prominent enough or great enough in numbers, there will be no tolerance for other cultures anymore. It will just be, you follow this or you die, or you get raped, or you get imprisoned. I see a takeover happening. I don't think Gert Wilder is that off the mark. You know, I think the Western culture as we know it is in peril. I think there's a definite pattern here. I see it starting to happen in America. Wafa Sultan. I have posted several of her videos. I have mirrored several of her videos. I have watched them. I have ordered her first book and waiting for her second. I think she knows what she's talking about as a Syrian refugee who lived under Sharia for over 30 years. And she sees it coming here to America. She doesn't think it's a joke. And she does take it seriously. And she is worried for her continued freedom that she finally gets to have. I think that's a serious indication when somebody like her is worried. I am worried. I don't have children. It probably won't happen in my lifetime, but some of it will happen in my lifetime. In my lifetime so far to this point, I have seen women fight tooth and nail to get to where we are now. Women working in jobs that 20, 30 years ago, it was unheard of for women to be in those jobs. And the ones that tried to get in those jobs would be ridiculed or bullied, basically pressured into leaving those jobs. It's taken women a long time. I don't know if it's true that unequal pay is a myth. I know that growing up in my early 20s, I saw a lot of preferential treatment toward men as far as getting promoted. I don't know if it's true that men got more pay than me. We didn't really compare our paychecks. But I do know that it seemed that people with families got raises more than people without. I mean, there were other things that I thought was discriminatory going on. Smokers. Remember the days when smokers could smoke in the office at their desk. I actually remember those days. And then when they got rid of that, they figured out, ooh, you know, this is actually bad for people. And they told smokers, you have to leave the building to smoke. Then smokers got to have breaks, a lot more breaks than non-smokers, which was really not fair. So I've seen a lot of changes in the workplace. I've seen a lot of changes in my lifetime toward women. The sad thing is I see changes for the worst now. Women enjoyed a little window of freedom there where it was a given that if you didn't want to have a baby, you had an abortion. It was a given. If you didn't want to have a baby, you used birth control. Now it's this huge question mark. Oh, when does life begin? Like the planet isn't already heavily overpopulated, and maybe it's a good idea that we think about not having so many children now. You know, here's a funny thought. Other life on the planet deserves to live too, and not in zoos or cages, but in their natural habitat, which gets smaller and smaller and smaller every single year. Because why? We keep producing more humans. We keep breeding and having babies. In the Islamic world, and I'm not totally sure, but from what I have read, women aren't allowed birth control, and women aren't allowed to say no to their husbands when they want sex. So they have large families. Well, people in the West, at least some people in the West, I can't speak for all countries, and certainly, it just seems to me that a lot of people are more aware now, and they're having less children. They're trying to do their part to not add to the overpopulation of the planet, which some people have the audacity to call a myth. But a funny thing, the habitats for wild animals continue to shrink as people continue to fill it up with more apartments and strip malls and farmland to feed all those people that need to be fed. It's more important, far more important than some animal getting to live in a tree and have a place to drink water and have a place to bury its food. I think Islam contributes a great deal to the overpopulation of this planet. It makes it harmful, in my opinion. I think Islam contributes a great deal to the death of innocent people. There are some people who are Muslims who actually follow the Quran. One of these people, one of these groups of people, is called ISIS. They actually follow the religion. They follow what is in the Quran, in the Hadith, whatever, Sharia law, all these things. I think there's a lot of Muslims who really are good people, and they really want to be peaceful. They want to embrace peace, just like there's a lot of really good Christians who just want to love everybody. But I don't believe that these Muslims that are this way, I think they cherry pick, just like Christians cherry pick the Bible and actually call it good. I think there's a lot of Muslims out there that cherry pick the Quran and they ignore the fact that Muhammad raped a little girl and had slaves and committed mass murder. They ignore. They select what they want to see and what they agree with and ignore everything else. But there's a lot of Muslims in the world that don't ignore everything else. And they kill, because the book says they need to kill. They must kill. In fact, they're being merciful to kill somebody who isn't a Muslim. You're taking them from the horrible existence of not being a Muslim. It's like a mercy killing. Anyway, I don't think multiculturalism is a good thing, because what I see it doing in Europe is stamping out the cultures that were there before, stamping them out, obliterating them, bulldozing right over them, and putting Islam, putting the Middle East culture there in its place. I don't see two cultures sharing the same space, living in harmony, side by side. I see one swallowing up the other one, and the other one going, oh, we don't want to offend them, because you know what happens when they get offended? Bad things happen. So the bullies get their way, apparently. The bullies get their way. And these cultures that, I'm sorry, I see as beautiful and valuable, and they have endured for centuries, are going away. And we're getting the Middle East. We're going to have a Eurabia in the near future. I believe Gert Wilder's prediction about that. As one bigot to another, apparently I'm a bigot. And you know what? If that is in fact the true definition of bigotry, that you're opposed, that you are intolerant of somebody who has a different opinion, then I guess I'm a bigot. Because there's a lot of different opinions that I am very much opposed of. I'm opposed of an old man marrying a little girl, raping her every single night. The abuse of these little girls is astronomical. I'm opposed to it. I'm opposed to lives being shattered before they even begin. I'm opposed of genital mutilation that happens in the name of this cult. I'm opposed to people being stoned to death for things like cheating on their husband. How is that a crime? It's a betrayal. It's a betrayal. And the person who's been cheated on has every right to be upset and say, you know what, bitch, goodbye, and divorce that person. And she is on her own. She cheated. You know, she doesn't deserve to be married anymore. I mean, some people are forgiving. Okay, I understand. I have been neglecting you. Let's try again. Some people are forgiving. Some people aren't so forgiving. And they divorce a cheater. They're hurt. And how can you trust somebody who's cheated? I mean, I can totally see the rationality, or whatever the word is, for cutting somebody loose who has cheated on you. That's what you do to somebody who has cheated on you. You don't fucking bury them to the waist in dirt and stone them to death. I'm against that. I'm against killing somebody just because they can't believe in your religion anymore. You know, they tried. They kind of lived a lie for a long time, pretending to believe or just suppressing all the questions. But then one day they just couldn't do it anymore. And they decided, I'm going to try to find the answers to these questions. And oh my God, I just discovered all the things I believed. They're not really true. And I'm brave enough to admit that I just don't believe it anymore. Does that person deserve to be killed because they can't believe anymore? Well, some places in the world will say, well, that person is a danger to other Muslims because that person might tell other Muslims what made them stop believing, and other Muslims might stop believing too. So the best thing to do to that person who can't believe anymore is to kill them. I'm against killing people who have not committed a horrible, horrific crime like murder. I'm actually against capital punishment. I used to not be. When I was a Christian, I was for it. But now as an atheist, and I realize how precious life is, and amazingly unlikely that we're even here at all, I'm against it. I look at people who commit mass murder. Yes, even mass murder. And I understand having a mother who is mentally ill and learning against my will even what really is mental illness and what it does to a person's identity, how it completely changes a person. I look at people who commit mass murder. I look at people who commit murder and rape and all the violent crimes. And I can bet, you know, not every psychologist is going to say, well, this person is insane. But is that true? At the very least, I think anybody who commits a violent crime must have antisocial personality disorder, which is the nice new term for sociopathic personality or whatever it is, which is the term that replaced psychopathic or personality, psychopaths. Psychopaths became sociopaths, and now the new term, antisocial personality disorder. Look up that word. Look up that term. What does it mean? It means somebody who is born without a conscience. Somebody who has a diminished conscience. There's a lot of them walking around. There's different varying degrees of them on the earth. Your light duty, mild version of a person with this disorder might be somebody who uses somebody and then walks away and doesn't understand why that person who was used is upset. Just doesn't understand why they're upset. Somebody who has a whole lot of it, who has a high degree of this thing that they're born with, no conscience, might murder somebody and walk away, not understanding why people think it's a bad thing. Why is everybody so upset with me? They don't understand that it's a bad thing. They're wired wrong in their head, and they were born that way. Look up the term antisocial personality disorder. Look up the term sociopath. Find out what it says that person, what does that illness do to a person, or what is that condition? Because people are born with it. What is the difference between the mind of somebody with that versus somebody who doesn't have it? And should people with it be killed? I don't think so. I don't think you should be killed for something you can't help. I think you should be put away for the rest of your life. This has turned out to be a really long video that's gone all over the place. But I don't believe it's right to kill people. The Quran and the Bible both are filled with commandments to kill people. To me, it doesn't even, all the rest of it, the fact that they're historically inaccurate, the fact that they contradict a whole bunch of stuff, they contradict themselves, the book contradicts itself over and over and over and over. The fact that the God is evil, the fact that there's no evidence to show a Jesus ever existed. Aside, just take away all that. Just the fact that these books command death for ridiculous reasons, like working on the Sabbath, picking up sticks on the wrong day of the week, cheating on somebody, not being able to believe anymore, being an atheist. I believe there's some verse in the Bible, too, that says if there's even one atheist in the town, the whole town should be killed. If you find one among them that is an atheist, that doesn't believe, exterminate the whole town. I believe there's a verse in the Bible that actually says that. These books command death. They have no place in a world that wants peace. And multiculturalism sounds like a really good idea, doesn't it? But unless both sides are willing to embrace each other, it isn't a good thing. It's an excuse. It's a loophole. It's a open window to let the bully in and let them take over and completely obliterate the culture that was welcoming them in the first place. It's like going into a home, opening the door and letting a guest into your home, and the guest completely trashes your home, showing no respect whatsoever for what you have done to make it yours. That's wrong. That's disrespectful. And that guest, what kind of a guest does that? And would you want to ever invite that guest into your home a second time? That's what I see happening in some of the countries in the UK. That's what I don't want to see happen here. And if that makes me a bigot, then so be it. But I'm sorry. I don't think multiculturalism is a good thing, because I see it destroying a lot of good things and replacing them with a lot of bad things that I don't want to see happen. I don't want to see that happen to my country. I don't want to see it happen to Europe, and it is happening in Europe. And so yes, I will share Gert Wilder's warning to Americans. I will share Wafa Sultan's warnings to Americans. I think there's some truth to what these people are saying. I think there's reason for concern. The election coming up, honestly, I have no idea who to vote for. Trump is a dog. He's the only one of the candidates that has any concern for the danger that Islam presents to America. And I think there needs to be concern for the danger that Islam presents to America. I won't vote for Trump because he's a dog. But I don't know. It concerns me greatly that Bernie isn't concerned. Hillary isn't concerned. about the threat to America.